If you have ever agreed to something and only later felt your stomach drop, like you signed a contract with your own attention, you already know influence is not just about logic. It is about timing, emotion, and the quiet shortcuts your brain uses to save energy. You are not weak for falling for it. You are human. Your mind is built to decide fast, to trust patterns, to conserve effort. And the world around you has learned how to press those buttons with gentle hands. I want you to picture a normal moment. Late afternoon. Your phone is warm from being in your palm too long. You open an app for one simple reason. Then you notice a red badge. Your eyes go there before you even choose. Your thumb moves before you can name the thought. That is not a moral failure. That is attention being guided. Attention is a limited resource, and influence often starts by taking control of what you notice, then what you feel, then what you do. A lot of influence tactics work because of something called cognitive ease. Cognitive ease means your brain prefers what feels simple and familiar. If something is easy to process, it feels more true. If a message is repeated, it feels more trustworthy. If the design is clean and the words are smooth, you relax. Relaxation is not just comfort, it is lowered scrutiny. When you are calm, you stop checking for traps. When you are overloaded, you stop checking too. Influence loves both states. It either soothes you into yes or exhausts you into yes. You have probably noticed how certain people can make a request feel small, almost weightless. They do not demand, they assume. They speak as if the path is already chosen and your brain follows the implied script. That is social proof at work, which means you take cues from what seems normal for other people. If it sounds like everyone is doing it, your nervous system treats resistance as risky. The deep part of you that wants belonging starts leaning forward. This is not childish. This is ancient. For most of human history, being out of sync with the group could cost you safety. Social proof has a twin called authority bias. Authority bias means you give extra weight to someone who looks like an expert, even when the evidence is thin. A white coat, a confident tone, a polished title, a studio microphone, these are symbols. Symbols are fast. Your brain uses them as shortcuts because checking the truth takes time. The problem is not that authority is always wrong. The problem is that your respect can be harvested. You can be guided by someone who has confidence instead of competence. There is another tactic that hides inside kindness: reciprocity. Reciprocity means when someone gives you something, you feel a pull to give back. It is one of the strongest social forces we have. It keeps communities alive. It also gets exploited. A free sample, a helpful favor, a warm introduction, a small gift you did not ask for. Your body registers a debt before your mind calls it a tactic. That subtle pressure can make you say yes to things you would not choose in a quiet room, alone, with time. And time is the next lever. Scarcity. Scarcity means when something seems limited, your brain assigns it more value. Limited spots, limited time, only a few left. Scarcity works because it triggers loss aversion, which means losses feel more painful than gains feel good. Your mind would rather avoid regret than seek benefit. That is why countdown timers feel like a tightening in your chest. Even when you know the timer might reset tomorrow, your body reacts as if the door is closing for real. Influence also uses commitment and consistency. This is the force behind small yes turning into big yes. If you agree to a tiny step, your identity starts to shift. You become the kind of person who said yes. Then saying no later creates cognitive dissonance, which means mental discomfort when your actions do not match your self-image. Most people try to reduce that discomfort by staying consistent, not by reevaluating. This is why a harmless sign-up can become a subscription you forget to cancel. It is why a casual opinion can harden into a belief you defend. Your mind prefers to feel coherent, even when coherence costs you. You can see this in everyday life. You click a simple checkbox to get access. Then you fill in a few details. Then you confirm your email. Then you are asked to add a payment method for convenience. Each step is small. None of it feels like the moment you decided. That is the magic trick. Influence often removes the single dramatic decision and replaces it with a staircase. You do not leap into a trap. You walk into it while thinking you are still in the hallway. Emotion is the fuel for most of this. People imagine persuasion is about arguments. Most persuasion is about state. State means your current emotional and physical condition. Tired, lonely, anxious, excited, hungry, rushed. When your state is unstable, your decisions become more about relief than about values. You do not buy the product. You buy the feeling of being done. You do not agree to the plan. You agree to stop the pressure. You do not scroll because you want information. You scroll because you want a mood change. This is where affect heuristic comes in. Affect heuristic means you use your feelings as information. If it feels good, it seems safer. If it feels scary, it seems dangerous. Marketers and influencers know this. They do not just sell outcomes. They sell atmosphere, warm lighting, soft music, a calm voice, a clean layout. Your nervous system reads it as safe and your guard drops, or the opposite. Urgency, anger, outrage, a threat. Your nervous system reads it as danger and your attention locks on like a spotlight you cannot turn off. And there is a darker version of this. Intermittent reinforcement. Intermittent reinforcement means rewards show up unpredictably, which makes habits stick harder. Slot machines use it. Social media uses it. Sometimes the post gets love, sometimes it disappears. Sometimes you get a message, sometimes you do not. Your brain starts checking not because it is fun, but because it might pay off. The maybe is more addictive than the yes. When rewards are random, your mind keeps pulling the lever. Now, I want to bring this closer to your real life. Think about the moments you feel most persuadable. It is often when you are trying to be a good person. You do not want to disappoint. You do not want conflict. You want to be easy to work with. That is where influence hides inside your values. If you value kindness, someone can frame a request as a test of your kindness. If you value loyalty, someone can frame compliance as loyalty. If you value ambition, someone can frame exhaustion as dedication. The tactic is not always aggressive. Sometimes it is flattering, sometimes it is guilt. Sometimes it is the quiet implication that good people do not hesitate. This is why framing matters. Framing means the way information is presented changes how you interpret it. The same choice can feel different depending on the story around it. A fee can be framed as a small investment. A delay can be framed as a rare chance to get in early. A boundary can be framed as selfishness. When you feel your emotions spike, ask yourself what frame you just stepped into. Because frames are like lenses. You do not notice the lens, you just see the world it creates. Another subtle tactic is anchoring. Anchoring means the first number or idea you hear becomes a reference point. If you see a high price first, the next price feels reasonable. If you hear a dramatic claim first, a smaller claim feels balanced. Anchors work even when you know they are arbitrary. Your brain hates floating without a reference point, so it grabs the first thing offered. This is why starting offers are often extreme. They are not meant to be chosen. They are meant to shape what feels normal next. So, what do you do with all this without becoming paranoid? The goal is not to distrust everyone. The goal is to reclaim choice. I think of influence tactics like currents in water. You do not need to fear the ocean. You need to know when you are being pulled and how to steady yourself. The first steadying move is to slow the moment of consent. Most influence relies on speed. Speed prevents reflection. If you can add even a small pause, you change the game. A pause gives your prefrontal cortex a chance to come online. The prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that plans and inhibits impulses. When it is offline, you live on autopilot. When it is online, you can choose. The second move is to label what is happening. This is called affect labeling, which means naming the emotion reduces its intensity. If you can say, I feel rushed, I feel flattered, I feel guilty, you stop being inside the emotion and start observing it. Observation creates distance. Distance creates options. The third move is to check the cost to your future self. Influence often borrows comfort from tomorrow. It offers relief now and sends the bill later. So I ask myself a simple question. If I say yes, what problem am I buying for next week? If I say no, what discomfort am I tolerating for the next 10 minutes? That comparison is usually where the truth lives. I also watch for identity hooks. Identity is powerful. If someone tries to tie a choice to who you are, your defenses drop because it feels personal. You are smart, so you will understand this. You are the kind of person who takes action. You are not like those other people. When you feel your pride being stroked, get curious. Pride is not bad. It is just easy to steer. Real confidence does not need to prove itself through a rushed yes. And sometimes the most practical skill is learning to let a little tension exist. Influence often works by making tension feel urgent, the awkward pause, the unanswered message, the slightly disappointed tone you imagine. If you can sit with that tension without fixing it, you become harder to manipulate. Emotional regulation is not numbness. It is the ability to feel a sensation and still act from your values. There is one more piece I want to leave you with. The most persuasive person in your life is often you. Your own mind uses influence tactics on itself. It uses scarcity, I have to decide now. It uses social proof, everyone else is ahead. It uses authority bias. This confident thought must be true.